Hello, I'm Ken with Orion Telescopes and Binoculars, and in this video I'm not actually going to talk about a telescope. I'm going to talk about our finder scope, the Easy Finder 2. This is the Easy Finder 2 that comes with a lot of our telescopes, or you can buy it separately. I wanted to show you how to use it, how to install the battery, how to replace a battery when it stops working, and how to align it when it's on the telescope. We get a lot of questions about the Easy Finder and the operation, so I wanted to kind of go detailed bit by bit through the process and show you exactly how it works. So the first step is to install the battery. This would also be the point where if you already have the battery in there and it needs to be changed out, how to get in there. If you look at the Easy Finder itself, on the front is the housing here. Directly below the window housing where the dot is reflected is this little cap right here. It's below this knob on the side, so right there. You want to pry that off with your fingers, or if you're like me and you don't have very long fingernails, you can get a little flathead screwdriver and pop it off. So there, I just pried it off, revealing the little battery housing and clip. The battery is a 2032, a little 3-volt 2032, and it installs with the plus side facing outwards. So the plus side is going to touch the top of this clip here. It just slides underneath and pops into place. Now, a lot of times, especially if you're replacing the battery and you have to pop this out, what you do is you pry the clip out and drop the battery out. The act of pulling that clip up sometimes can bend the clip up and it doesn't make good contact anymore. So what I usually do just before I put a battery in is I take my finger and I press down on the clip towards the bottom of the battery housing so it's touching the bottom and just kind of bend it into place. That way it has a nice taut, narrow amount of room there, so it'll grab the battery and hold it nice and snug. So I've pushed it down, there's not much room there, and I slide the battery underneath the clip and it kind of clicks into place, and there it's holding it, it's making contact, and you're good to go. Just make sure the plus side is facing outwards, touching this top clip. Then take your cap, put it back on, give it a little push, and it clicks back into place, and you're good to go. You can verify that the battery is working by the on-off switch on the side here, the one with a little dot on it. Click it past, there's a little click, that's the off section. Click it past and then keep going all the way until it stops. That's the brightest section, or the brightest position. And when you look through this, you're looking from this direction over the little housing that the little light emanates from. It's a little LED in a little pinhole there. It bounces through this little housing here and reflects off of the piece of glass. So you look this way through it, and I see the dot out there, it's working nice. It's pretty bright, I can adjust it. If you go too dim during the daytime, you'll lose the dot, so make sure you get it all the way bright. Again, looking this way through it. Don't look this way through it, you won't see anything other than you'll see where the laser, it's not a laser, it's a little LED dot. You'll see where it emanates from, but you gotta look this way to see the dot reflecting off of the piece of glass. All right, well, the next step is to install it onto the telescope and then calibrate it so it's looking at the same thing that the telescope is looking at. So I've attached the stock on the bottom, and when it slips in, remember, you're installing it this way with the housing on the sky side and your eye on this side. So I'm going to point it down at something off in the distance here. I'm looking through it this way. If I turn it on there, there's the dot. I can see that it's pointing at some object. Now the problem is, I've just installed it on the scope. That dot is not calibrated with what's right here. I'm looking at part of a tree over there, but the dot is facing just a little off to the left of it. So something's wrong. The dot is not in line with what's here. So I wouldn't be able to find anything. If I put this on the planet, if I look through here, it would probably be out of the field of view. The reason is, the Easy Finder has to be calibrated to the main view in order to find anything. Right now it's sort of close to pointing at the right object, but it's not exactly there. So let's fine tune it and get it perfectly centered. So the first step is to find something the hard way without the finder. Find something very obvious off in the distance. I like to do this during the day. I can move this left and right here. All right, here's the top corner of a power pole way off in the distance. About a quarter mile or more is good enough distance to get rid of any parallax between the finder and the eyepiece. So during the day, the corner of a building, the tip of a very obvious tree, or in my case, a power pole. Get it as center as you can in the eyepiece here, and then look through your finder scope. Oh yeah, sure enough, it's not on it. It's off probably by a degree to the side and a little bit down. There are 2 screws that adjust the positioning of the dot in relation to what I'm seeing. This screw on the back here, remember this is the on-off and brightness switch on the side with the dot, but underneath the back here, this is the adjustment for the dot moving up and down. And then this screw here on the front is the adjustment for the side-to-side motion, or at least it's sort of off to the side of this thing, so it's sort of for my case here, it's kind of an angle this way and this way. In combination, by rotating both of these, you can move that dot around the field of view. So it's just trial and error. I'm at the corner of the power pole there. I'm going to adjust it here downwards a little bit, and sure enough I can see the dot getting further away from where I want it to be, so obviously I'm going the wrong direction. So rotate it that way, that's about good. Now I'm going to move to this one and rotate it just a bit. There we go, and now the dot is looking right at the object that I see here. Verify again, because you've touched everything, you might have jostled the scope. No, it's looking right at the corner of that power pole, and then yes, the dot is there. So now I can use the dot to point it at Jupiter, and then I'll be sure to know that it will be in the field of view of my eyepiece. So that's how you calibrate the dot to point at the same object the scope is seeing. All right, so there you have it. This is the basic adjustments for the Easy Finder. How to adjust it on the mount so it's pointing at the same thing that your scope sees, how to insert or replace the battery, remember, plus side facing outwards, and then you're good to go for locating objects in the night sky with your Easy Finder. Thank you very much. Clear skies.